Okay, look at this. Here we go. So here we are. Hey everybody. I always have to get like settled once I see what this looks like on, right? Today, my children are actually home. They are with me. They are upstairs wrestling right above me. I can hear them. It's fantastic. Just keeps me really, really, really relaxed. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little welcome to Go Mom Live. And today's topic, getting organized to visit Capitol Hill. I know that sounds like a really unusual topic, but actually for mothers with children in middle or high school, often spring is the time when those children might be taking a trip to the Washington, D.C. area as part of their history and civics units, as part of their government units. And it's an exciting time to be engaged in politics as it was back when we were in middle school and high school and perhaps had that opportunities. My children in their current school do not have that opportunity, but lucky for them, they were raised in the Northern Virginia area, and so they really are spoiled. Frankly, the first time that we went to a museum 5.5 years ago on Veterans Day weekend, our first Veterans Day here in North Carolina, we went down to the museums. We had a holiday and my husband was home. And we took in everything that there was to take in. And both my boys, at that time they were in second and fourth grade, looked at me and said, "Is that it?" And I suppose that's the price you pay for having been raised on the Smithsonian and Mount Vernon and all the other amazing, amazing places that you can go when you live in that area. So they have no loss of knowledge as a result of that. Actually, they're keenly interested in government and history, and that's quite exciting. They are intrigued all the time by what's happening in DC. Excuse me. Intrigued by, they're not so into policy at this point, which as our 15-year-old, I have to say, actually, now that he's in high school, there's a whole lot more conversation about the complexity of policy. And I feel, along with my husband, our most important challenge when it comes to raising good citizens isn't to necessarily ensure that they share our views, though we hope they will. However, my husband and I each have different sets of views, just like you and I might. So our job really is to share the opportunity with them about how they can have access to their local, state, and national government, how they need to take that responsibility seriously to get engaged, how they need to listen and learn and formulate an opinion, and then act on that opinion in a positive way that'll make a good contribution. Recently, I was really fortunate to visit Washington, D.C. with an organization called MomThink, and I'll give you their website, momthink.org. And MomThink is funded by an organization called Intellectual Takeout. And Intellectual Takeout actually happens to be a lot more conservative than MomThink is. While Intellectual Takeout kind of leans to the right, MomThink is designed to be a portal that's a nonpartisan portal where you can find views of all angles to hopefully find reliable, resourceful information that's factual, that can educate you about topics of interest. For example, you can find information there on the national debt, and that is really what caught my interest. Was I thought, well, when I was contacted to consider participating, it wasn't that I wanted to take a political spin towards what we do at Go Mom at all, but that I was very excited to take that opportunity to give moms information that they might not already have about the national debt. And after our show today, when I post my video about my visit to Representative David or Congressman David Price's office, I will include in that written post all sorts of information for you about the national debt and other resources that we found, including some of the resources that were going on here. And I do see that through my little eye that we have people watching, but I don't see any activity in the chat room. So if you are posting comments in the chat, I want you to know that I can't see them. So you can email me at mgold@gomominc.com and talk to me that way. You can also find me on Twitter at mygomom, and that way, if there is a problem with the chat room, I know my friend Daisy Sutherland has a great show, Retro Parenting, that was on last Thursday night. I was not able to attend, but I saw that she had issues with her chat room. So if you're chatting and I'm not responding, it's because I can't see it. And you can email me any questions. You can tweet me questions. I don't think I'll be able to juggle that during the show very successfully, but I will respond to them afterwards. And I appreciate your patience. So let's talk about visiting Capitol Hill. I gave you the backdrop that the reason why this is relevant for me is because I, of course, was just on Capitol Hill a few weeks ago with momthink.org. Hey, Lily, there I can see you. Okay, maybe the chat room's going okay after all. So here's the thing. I lived in Northern Virginia for 17 years, and never once did I visit Capitol Hill in all the time that I lived there. I visited the White House before I had kids, on one of those, my friend has a friend has a friend in the press office kind of things, where we really got a great behind the scenes tour, all legitimate and pre 9/11, but still really a wonderful tour. But I never visited the Capitol. Wasn't really all that into it. I did go to the fireworks down on the monuments. I've done some amazing things. However, I'd never met with, found out who my congressional representative was, to meet with. I haven't been very engaged in local politics in my earlier years. Now, as a parent with children in school, I'm very interested in what's happening in our local politics and in our state politics for funding for their education, for healthcare, and so many other things. So it seemed timely with the repeal of the healthcare reform bill last week and with our president addressing the nation tomorrow night to have a conversation about how you can plan to get engaged with your congressional representative. If you've never visited DC, that might be the last thing you think of. You might think, I just want to go to see the monuments. I just want to see the gardens. And that's all fine and good. But one of the things that can get hard for kids is it's just something they're looking at. It's not something they're engaging. So the first thing you want to do is you want to try and keep it local, make it tactical for your children. So find out who your local representative is, have your children sit down, even if you already know who it is, have your children sit down with you and visit the website www.house.gov and then use the zip code finder. When you do that, you're going to be able to find out who your representative is. After you find out who your representative is, you can go to their web page specifically on that website. Sorry, don't mind my phone ringing. It is, as I said, we're home. So you can find out who your representative is and then visit their web page. And after you visit their web page, you'll be amazed at all the resources that you'll find there. First and foremost, you'll be able to find out what your representative thinks about various issues. They will have posted their comments about those issues. And that is something that you can ask your children what kinds of topics they're interested in. And then you can go through and say, well, let's find out. In my case, it's Representative Price. I was very interested in meeting with Representative Price about talking about the economy, small business, and debt, because that was part of the mission that I was on with the organization that I was there. But it also was really important for me to translate that down to how moms can share information about the national debt with each other, with their children, and really embrace that in how they approach money in their family. So visit the website, put in your zip code, find out who your representative is, and then go to their microsite and find out what they think on the issues. If you'd like to then talk with your children about some different issues that they think are interesting and what some questions are that they might have, you can contact your representative's office and ask to meet with them. That's what I did. I had it was part of our mission to find out exactly what our individual representatives believed on certain issues, just so we could have a collaborative conversation. Lily, I see that you're saying you get emails from your representatives frequently and see how they vote. Exactly. I think that people don't realize that your representatives, once you engage with them and once you sign up for their communications process, you'll find out on a regular basis how they're voting, what their views are, and how they're representing your district and your state on a daily basis. And that really matters because it helps you formulate your opinions as you're considering local elections, and not just to kind of have that generic, oh, I don't really like that policy. Well, why? Why not? That kind of thing. So when you give them a call, it's quite easy to make a meeting. I was able to introduce myself, say where I was from, say why I wanted to meet, and like that, I got an appointment. You'll want to go on the website to print out, there's a whole list of visitor safety rules and regulations you'll want to print out about how to make sure to prepare for your visit and get through security appropriately. But it's very easy to get access to these folks. While at the time that I was there, Congressman Price was not there because he was still back in the district. This was just after the very tragic shooting in Tucson, Arizona of Representative Giffords. So not everybody was there. They had canceled the vote. We still were able to meet with the person who handles budget and economic policy, Miss Mercer, for Congressman Price. So she would have been in on the meeting anyway. So she was able to answer all my questions. And that's something to think about when you prepare your family to go and have this meeting to talk about issues that are interesting to your kids, or something specific like People will call their congressmen and women and tell them about the troubles they're having with banking, about the troubles they're having with their mortgages, about troubles that they're having in their communities, reaching out to them to see what kind of resources they might provide. The staff people that work for that representative and congressman or woman will be able to also answer those questions for you in their absence. So don't be too disappointed, because sometimes if there's a call for a vote or if something happens last minute, that's it. They're not going to be able to keep their meeting with you, but their staff will honor that commitment. I was thrilled to learn a couple of things about our congressman. You know, which I would have never known had I not called, gotten the meeting, gone and met with them. And you figure maybe 15 minutes is what you'll get. So you want to be efficient. That's why you're going to want to research the issues that you want to talk about, and you want to have some questions already outlined. You want to have a map of how to get there easily from where you're going to be, and give yourself more than enough time to get through security, that kind of thing. It's all just basic, you know, like you would for any other appointment. Arrive early so you're not late. I was fascinated to learn that our congressman Price was the person who introduced legislation that took years to pass and finally passed, that changed what your credit card bill looks like this year, because budget is such a tremendous worry for so many people. And, you know, both on the Hill and here in our everyday lives. You know, when you get a credit card bill, no matter if you have most everybody has a credit card of some kind, whether they pay off their balance or they don't. But when you get that bill now, there's a little box, and that box will tell you how long it takes you to pay that debt if you only pay a minimum payment. My representative, Congressman David Price, is the person who made that possible. And let me tell you what, that did not make my banking state very happy, with Bank of America being based in Charlotte. Hello. The whole industry, I'm sure, was not happy with that initiative of his. However, from firsthand personal experience, when his daughter got a credit card and ran up debt in college, like so many college students do, unknowingly creating a series of problems for herself, not realizing the ramifications, he found it really important to communicate about finance, even down to what happens when you get that bill, that credit card provider has a responsibility to let you know what it's actually going to cost you. Blew me away. Had no idea. Little things like that are changes that we have in our everyday lives that we're not even sure what the source is. That's a good change. So you find out who your person is, you go to their site and look at their opinions on their views. You come up with some ideas about different views you might want to talk about, or you can just stop in to say hello and ask a little bit about, you know, what their everyday work is, depending on the ages of your children. And then you make that appointment. Give them a call and go ahead and hold that appointment. If you want to get a tour of the Capitol building, of the Rotunda, or of the White House, both of those things have to go through your representatives. So this is where I'm going to make a segue into the White House. If you are visiting DC and spend only your time looking at the monuments from the outside and not interacting, you're missing out on a great opportunity. The ages of your children matter for the relevance of this. However, with enough planning time, you can make this happen. Why do you want to be involved in what's happening in Congress? Well, they just repealed the health care bill, and that's going to have huge ramifications for all of us, no matter how that falls out. These are the people who are advocating on your behalf on every single issue. Why do we want to know what's happening at the White House? Well, they can approve or veto what's happening. No matter what you think about who's in that office, the office of the presidency deserves our respect and our support always, just like the office of all of the people who represent us. Bright, bright minds are all over Capitol Hill working on our behalf, good, bad, or otherwise. And so we have to be engaged and we have to respect it. So kids are obviously going to want to see the White House. Is it enough to just look through the gates? Not usually. It's a great city for walking. However, you'll really want to consider taking the tour bus, where you can hop on and off. You pay a certain fee, and it'll take you to all the key monuments, the Lincoln, the Jefferson, the White House. It'll take you up past the Hill. You can hop off, see what you want to see, and get back on. But the thing that makes a big difference for people and for kids is to be able to get in and into situations and actually interact and touch. So walking around the Rotunda, while beautiful, really might not be as meaningful or interesting as actually meeting someone who's a lawmaker, who can talk to you a little bit about some laws that they've made and how that impacts your family. Same thing goes with the White House. If you want to go on a tour of the White House, they're free and they're open to the public, but you need to contact your representative 6 months down to 30 days in advance of that visit, which means if you get inside 30 days, I guess you could probably try and call your representative, but it's pretty unlikely that anything is going to happen. So you want to make sure to make that call well in advance and ask for tickets on a tour of the rotunda, a tour of the White House. Okay? When it comes to the White House, it's obvious that Michelle Obama is very much focused on children. It's a different kind of time in the White House whenever children are there. When you look back through White House historians and the stories that they tell, the information that they share about how the White House changes whenever there's young children or teenagers, there's a different sense of energy. There's a different level of activity. So the Obamas have school-age children, and Mrs. Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, has taken it to her heart not only to, as a matter of public policy, address childhood obesity, but to introduce programs that can really make a difference. One of the things that we've all seen a lot of publicity about was the building of the kitchen garden. On the White House grounds, there's a beautiful kitchen garden. And that garden is where they harvest fruits, well, mostly vegetables, obviously, but they harvest items to use in the White House's cooking for meals of all kinds, which is pretty amazing if you think about it, that heads of state might be eating things right out of the kitchen garden. Figure, if the chefs that work at the White House have to go to the market, they might as well see what they can get right from their own backyard, just like you and me. So it's a great initiative. Tours for the kitchen garden, which would be a wonderful thing to engage in, are only available right now to local schools in the Washington, D.C. metro area. So unless you live in Maryland, Virginia, or D.C., your chances of getting a White House garden tour are non-existent right now. However, they may change that. You can find a lot of information about the White House at www, let's put this in, house.gov. Now, I have to say, I didn't spend as much time checking out the White House's website when President Bush was there, not because I didn't think the world of him or because I disagreed with him, but I have found that the ages of my children, high school, middle school, and elementary right now, we just have a lot more dialogue and discussion that leads me to visit that website. Also, the way that this current administration communicates through social media and blogging makes it very, very accessible. And that's good. Again, you're introducing to your children reliable sources of information. If you want to know about what's going on in the White House, go straight to their website. Don't search something online that gives you someone's comment or opinion. Just like if you want to find out what's going on with your congressional representative, go straight to their website. We sometimes are at the mercy of the information that we source, and if we don't research well, we won't have the information that we need. So just like when you want to visit your congressional representative, if you want to visit the White House, you need to go through your congressional representative to get those tickets well in advance. And they do have a limited number of people that are of spots, even though the tour is open to the public, and a certain amount of time that they do it. So it's just something that's good to do early. That being said, let's say you can't do more than just walk past the White House. Well, the side of the White House that is the back side of the White House that faces Lafayette Square, you get a lot closer to the building than if you go on the other side, which faces the Washington Monument. So you might want to think about that when you're tootling around and doing different things. As well, you can go on the White House website and find out a lot about other activities that might be happening. If you're going around Easter, if you're able to stand in line to get tickets for the Easter egg roll, that is a fantastically fun event, which we did when our children were little. You have to wait in line for tickets, but it's one of those things that's worth doing once, just like it's worth once going to the fireworks on the monuments. Same thing with the holiday tours. They do an amazing display downtown just outside the White House where they have the trees from across the country. Every state has a tree represented with ornaments that have been designed to be on those trees from the state itself. So they may be ornaments that children made, or they may represent different things, but the tree, every state tree is decorated by the state who is represented there. So it's fantastic. And again, a great experience. They have a Santa that you can talk to in a little house. My niece and nephew go every single year. So the holidays are a great time to consider this trip to Capitol Hill, where you can have some interactive experiences for your kids that really make a difference. Want to point out the Let's Move initiative. This is www.letsmove.gov. Is that right? Yeah. Let'sMove.gov is Michelle Obama's awesome program to get everybody out there moving and shaking it and just being healthy. There are pillars of the program. They are empower parents and caregivers, provide healthy food, improve access to healthy food, and increase physical activity. So basically, they're taking on the issue that childhood obesity is at an alarming rate, and it's a societal shift that needs to happen. And so the Let'sMove.gov organization is designed to share information that helps people make changes, helps organizations make changes, and helps our society just get that paradigm bump that needs to happen that says all that other stuff just isn't even an option. Healthy is the only option. Something really interesting that's just happened in the news just last week is that Walmart has stepped up and announced that they're going to partner with Let's Move to make some radical changes in what's happening in their private label branded food in their stores. They've made a commitment that over the next 5 years that the sodium levels in their private label foods will go down by 25%, sugar levels will go down by 10%, and all trans fats will be removed entirely from their private label foods. They've also committed to build stores in areas that are underserved populations where there aren't stores right now, which prevents people from having access to healthy food. Now, I know there's plenty of people who are naysayers about Walmart, that Walmart's, the bad guy, but you got to give them credit that they have, for whatever you think about Walmart, they are driving an eco-friendly society right now in terms of what's happening in your brands that you buy, in their packaging, in their processing. They have a sustainability initiative that's forcing every company who might have a product on their shelf to do the best they can to bring down packaging, fuel, processing costs, you name it, so that it has a better impact on the environment. That's changing the world economy, good, bad, or otherwise. Now, when we're talking about healthy food options in private label brands, not just major brands like Hidden Valley Ranch dressing, but private label that you would buy at your store, your Food Lion, your Harris Teeter, your Walmart, your Target. They're going to force, by leading by example, all those other retailers to make those same changes in the food products that they deliver to you. This means that overall, what should happen, not only at a Walmart, but in other stores, is your landscape as a general consumer who might not be able to afford or seek organic options, the healthiest types of foods, that you'll be able to find them more readily. That's fascinating to me. That's a place where you can engage your children. And I think that it's a worthy conversation because we're constantly talking about how to feed them well, how to teach them how to make good choices. I just had this conversation recently on Twitter about how do you make sure that your children are making healthy choices, and we're talking about how the conversation over time really goes back to them knowing about the food pyramid and eating their way through it and having their choices be limited to what they find there that's healthy for them. You have to educate them, plain and simple. So, next thing, and the final thing that I want to talk to you about is that tomorrow night is President Obama's State of the Union address. And last week we had healthcare repealed. Tomorrow night, even if your children aren't able to stay up, DVR the President's State of the Union address. It really matters to know what his dialogue is. It will matter to know what Speaker John Boehner will say in rebuttal to his conversation, because you'll have the Democrats and you'll have the Republicans. And then you want to share that for dinner table talk the next night and ask your kids, what did you think about what the president said? When you replay it, encourage them to take notes on things that stand out to them that are interesting so that you have conversation starters. And then talk about healthcare, how that's been such a big issue. We have 40 million Americans that don't have healthcare, and there's such a tremendous cost to our economy. And yet right now, our national debt could in fact be the greatest danger to our nation's security, because if we become more indebted at the rate that we are to other nations, we'll lose our ability to leverage our power in a way that keeps us safe. It's complicated, I know, but big stuff is happening on Capitol Hill. Big stuff is happening in the White House, which means you have a great opportunity to have interesting conversations. You can stage debates with your kids on the points that they have. If they have differing opinions, you can teach them about learning the wise debate, the intelligent conversation, being prepared, knowing what you think, being open-minded to hear what someone else thinks, and perhaps even changing your mind, because after all, that's how government works. So I know many people are buried in right now with the snow, and you're probably going nuts wondering what you're going to do. I tell you what, if I was getting snowed in this week, we would totally be having a political week on every scale, because between healthcare last week, President Obama tomorrow night, and all the resources that we have available at whitehouse.gov and at house.gov to find out about what happens in my state and what happens in my nation, you can create a great conversation and teach your own civics lesson. I want to show you, I have very loyal Americans in my household, of all parties actually. My daughter wanted to make sure to share a nice little picture with everybody today about what she thinks the American flag looks like. It's backwards, actually. She was looking at a picture in a book about going to the moon, and the flag was flying backwards in the picture, so she painted it exactly like she saw it in the picture. So I hope that you have found this very helpful. If you have any questions at all, again, feel free to email me, share what you think. I'll put that out there again. And I really thank you for watching today. I know it's an unusual topic, but preparing for a trip to DC in the spring, when it comes to making plans for things like visiting your congressman or visiting the White House, you could already be behind the 8 ball. If you're preparing for a trip this summer, you've got a lot more time. Yes, it's a walking city, but be very mindful that the Tourmobile is a good thing, because it's a lot of walking even for a grown-up, and there's so much to see. So of course, it all starts with a schedule. You had to know that. Schedule, organize, grow. If you map out your schedule, make a list of the things you want to see, give yourself enough time to see it, be realistic about how much time you can allot to each thing, and maybe choose some offbeat things. Consider going to the Mint. Go see how money is made at the U.S. Treasury Department. How cool is that? They have tours. It's pretty fascinating. And they're making a lot of it right now, unfortunately. So we aren't making as much, but they're making a lot, so that there's a lot in circulation. Those are unique things to do that'll give your kids a different perspective on what our government is all about. And when you do that, then you're going to plant some seeds for them to formulate their own opinions. And I hope that those are good seeds. Thanks so much. I'll be back, let's see, in February. It'll be close to, Valentine's Day, I think, actually might be the second Monday of the month. Am I right? Let's look at the calendar. When will we be back? We will be back on, yes, indeed, it will be Valentine's Day. So I will see you come back on Valentine's Day, and we will have all sorts of fun to talk about on that day, I am sure. Thanks so much for joining me. Y'all have a great day.